Hi guys, and welcome to our second episode of Girl Talk.
Woohoo!
So today in studio with us, we have a very inspiring young woman that I think a lot of us can actually relate to, which is awesome because I feel like we need inspiring women that we can actually, as other young women, relate to with their journeys in life, with their journeys in their career, and with their journeys in actually following and living their passion. So let's welcome Storm Stocker. Tell us, what did you want to be when you grow up?
When I was younger, I actually wanted to be a fashion designer.
Okay.
That was my thing. I was going to study fashion, and from like the day I could draw a stick figure, I knew I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Okay.
And I knew that fashion was where I was going to go. And I kind of maintained that whole thing, and I ended up doing a BA degree in fashion.
Okay.
And so I did a BA degree in fashion buying and merchandising, actually. Yeah.
Okay, so you wanted to be a fashion designer. You actually became a fashion designer.
In a sense, yes.
And then what happens? Because I mean, life happens. We all know that. How many of us have studied stuff for years and we're not in that calling, you can almost call it, or in that profession at this stage? So how did you journey from being a fashion designer to actually becoming a makeup artist?
Well, makeup was one of my subjects when I was studying.
Yes.
And in my last kind of 2 weeks of varsity, my mom kicked me out of home and she was like, you qualified, bye, I'm out, you're done. You need to move out, you need to get your life together, you need to get a job, you're done. Like, I'm cutting you off. And I was like, right, what do I do now? And the only real skill that I actually had, obviously I had my degree, but
Yes.
another main skill that I had was
Yes.
makeup artistry, because I was already a kind of practicing makeup artist while I was a student.
Okay.
So I just filmed a whole lot of videos and I just sent them out to MAC Cosmetics, and
Yeah.
I got an interview and I started working at MAC. So that was my first like real paying 9-to-5 retail job,
Yes.
which was painful, but I learned more than I ever could have at any makeup school in the world. I've learned so much being on counter and kind of in that space.
Yes.
So I think it just progressed to that point. Once I'd been involved in MAC and been involved in makeup and had that feeling of what I could create for somebody else, I knew makeup was where I was supposed to be positioned.
Okay, so you actually decided, I want to work for MAC. You pursued it and you worked for MAC.
Yes.
So let's pick it up here. She wanted to be a fashion designer. She became a fashion designer. She wanted to work for MAC. She made sure she worked for MAC.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so how did you actually get out of retail then?
So for me, the biggest thing was I knew I wanted to be in makeup and I knew I wanted to be a makeup artist and I loved working for the brand, but retail had its limitations. I was getting to the point where people were coming in store, or they were asking me all the time, can you come do my makeup, can you come do my makeup,
Okay.
on a freelance basis, and I wasn't able to because I had obligations to be in store. So I kind of got to the point where I was like, I actually just have to go out and try. And just try and make this thing happen. So I registered Taken by Storm, and 6 months later I started vlogging, started writing things, shocking at writing, shocking at creating videos. My first YouTube video is cringeworthy. It's still there if you guys want to go check it out. It's horrible.
We all need to start somewhere.
Yeah, it's horrible. But I started putting it out there a little bit, and I woke up one morning and I was like, I can't do this anymore, and I resigned. And I had nothing. I had no kind of starting point, but all I did was I continued to write stuff about makeup. I continued to talk about makeup. I spoke about a lipstick I got 3 years ago. I spoke about a highlighter that my aunt gave me from England from a free little set that she got. I didn't have budget to go out and buy products to just talk about them. So I started in that way, and it's kind of all progressed from that point.
Okay, to the point where you've built up your following. I mean, people are following Storm. They're loving your videos. I mean, I see what the people write.
Yeah.
And that's probably what you work for.
Totally. Because, I mean, there's so much facade around beauty influencers at the moment, and bloggers and influencers, and it's it's such a weird space to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everyone assumes that because I've got over 3,000 followers, I'm making thousands from my Instagram, which is not the case at all. Majority of it is passion work because it doesn't pay the bills.
Yes.
It doesn't pay the bills.
Does it get you clients though for makeup?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It gets me clients, it gets me exposures, and it gets me exposure, and it gets me noticed by brands that want to work with me, which then evolves into a whole lot of other stuff. So yeah, and one of the examples of what it evolved into was the university where I studied, LISOF. They saw what I was doing on social media. They were watching me slowly but surely for a year. They stalked my Instagram and saw the growth, and they actually headhunted me and asked me to come in and be a makeup educator there.
Wow.
So I'm now I am a makeup lecturer at LISOF. I teach part-time makeup students and full-time makeup students. So I have a portfolio of about 80 students at the moment, which is really exciting. And I would say that out of all the things that I do, that's where my main passion lies, is in the actual background education, starting somebody from being able to pick up a makeup brush to actually go out and earn a living as a makeup artist.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's exciting.
That is amazing. So Storm created this whole company or brand that is taken by Storm, and she's going to tell us a bit more about it, what it is, why she made it, and who Storm actually is. So Storm, taken by Storm. I've seen it on your car. I've seen it on your email signature. I've seen it on your social media pages. What is taken by Storm?
So I would say the first thing that comes to mind is I don't know. Okay. And there's a reason for that.
Okay.
Taken by Storm was originally me going out to the world as a makeup artist, and I was going to trade under the name Taken by Storm. Registered a company and it was Taken by Storm. So many people say to me that it had no relevance to makeup. It should be Makeup by Storm. That's boring.
Okay.
That's anyone can be makeup by whoever.
Yeah.
But I just said Taken by Storm just felt natural and it felt right. And as I evolved in my career and as my business evolved, more and more things got added to the Taken by Storm name. So it's now become less of a business and more of my personal brand. And everything I do within my job falls under that brand.
So you are an entrepreneur, first and foremost, and then you also have the lecturing job, which you love.
Yes.
Okay. Where did you get the knowledge and the know-how of operating by yourself and starting a business like you did?
For me, my biggest inspiration was growing up in a household with a powerhouse woman.
Okay.
That was my biggest inspiration. But for the most part, I winged it. I tried different things. I stuffed up, I collaborated, I did things for free. I did all of that stuff that people say you do when you start a business. They say you do those things, just do them, because they do pay off. Free jobs landed me a job with Gavin Raja. I was the key makeup artist at his, like, one of his fashion shows.
Oh, yeah.
And that was because I did something for free for somebody else.
Yeah.
So I winged it for most of the parts. I wish there was a quick fix pill that I could give you and say, go out and start your own business, because there isn't a rule book and there isn't a guideline. But the one thing that I did have was my mom.
Your mom.
Yeah.
Okay, so she is the one who inspired you to be the woman you are today.
Yes. So my mom is the most crazy powerhouse person you've ever met in your life. She's one of the sales executive of Honey Fashion Accessories. So that is a women-based business. It's a direct selling company. She has been with them my whole life. So 24 years she's been with the brand. And she started with the brand and she got involved in selling these little brooches that they did back in the day for people's like scarves and I don't know, their collars or blazers or whatever it was 24 years ago. The style, beautiful.
It's almost back in style now, ne?
Yeah, it is. So we need to be careful what we say. But she got involved because she had to buy me nappies.
Okay.
And that was the bottom line. That was her inspiration.
Yes.
I was her inspiration then to actually get a job, earn some money, and buy me nappies because she didn't want to wash toweling nappies. She had to try and make it for us. And I think when I was younger, my mom kind of saw me and saw my future and wanted more for me and just saw the light. She saw an opportunity, and she literally was part of building that company from the ground up. You say to anybody, oh, do you know Honey Fashion Accessories? Everybody's owned an earring or seen a catalogue, or somebody's auntie or mom has sold honey at some point in their lives.
That's true.
It is a household name in South Africa, and I really believe that my mom was a vital role to play in the growth of that business. It was her and 2 other people when it started, and now it is what it is. Her portfolio within the brand and what she's made, she's taken me and my brother overseas every single year from when we were tiny, before we could even have our own seats on an aeroplane. And we went to the best schools, and she provided the best education for us. But the best gift that she ever gave me was that tenacious energy that she had to never ever give up when the going went tough, when my parents went through a divorce, when all of these things were against her. She just kept on pushing through, and she still does. She's still doing it. She's still there. She's making it happen. She's moved cities, and she's still one of the top 2 salespeople nationwide.
That's amazing.
So she's amazing. She is my ultimate goals.
My mom. It's not even like you learned a lot from business from her. It's actually the spirit she had that you learned, and I think that's probably the most important, because that's what got you through everything.
Absolutely.
Even though you have to wing it at the start, like most of us has to, you actually got that from your mom, and that's what kept you going.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very lucky.
Okay, so Storm's main mission in life is to actually empower women to have the courage and knowledge to actually have their best self shine through from the inside out. So why is this your main mission? Why are you so passionate about it?
So I'm a massive believer in education. For me, that is vital. It's super important. I went through my own struggles with education when I was growing up. So when I was in grade 5, this is like a bit of a backstory, but when I was in grade 5, I was called into the principal's office. Me and my mom were called in, and this particular school said to my mom, you need to pull Storm out of the school because she will not pass. She cannot read, she cannot write, she's in grade 5 and she can't read. Like, what is actually happening here? And my mom was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this is terrible, this is shocking. Pulled me out of the school and sent me to remedial school. When I arrived at the remedial school, they realized that I'm 100% dyslexic, which a lot of people don't know, and it's not something I always advertise because I don't want people to feel sorry for me or shame. She's had a hard life. That's not what I wanted at all. But I think from that point, I knew I had to prove myself. I knew I had to work harder. I knew I had to push myself beyond those boundaries and beyond the word color, which I still can't spell, and definitely, which I still can't spell either. And when the predictive text thing comes up, I can't even select the right one because I don't know what it looks like. And I had to push myself beyond that point. So I think that is why I feel education is so important, because no matter what your struggle is, or your background, or your reading issue, or your maths problem, or your inability to have access to education, it is so important to skill yourself. Whenever I don't know something, I watch a video. I watch a YouTube video. I educate myself. I do online courses. If money's tight, online courses is the way to go. So when I talk about empowerment, and when I talk about empowering yourself through courage, for me that is, what will give you the courage? Will you gain courage through knowledge, or will you gain courage from things just falling in your lap? No, you gain courage from going through struggles, going through the trials and tribulation to actually achieve something. That is where my confidence and my struggle, my courage has come from.
So you've made the topic of creating a lasting impression quite a big deal, and I can kind of get why. Like, I know in my mind what I would think, why you need a lasting impression. But what is the importance of creating a lasting impression for the world?
So when I was quite young, I heard the impression of dress for the job you want and not the job you have. So my dream job has, and it still is to be a beauty editor of Vogue. That would be like my ultimate dream job ever. And I kind of looked at myself when I was a teenager in like your stunning teenage clothes. And I thought, I don't look like this person. I don't look like that girl. I don't dress like that. My hair's not like that. I'm not skinny enough. I have freckles, I have all of the things that you shouldn't have. And I think it did develop when I obviously developed my makeup skill, because I felt better about myself and I felt like I could kind of come out of my shell more. But I started dressing for the job that I wanted. And that for me has made the world of difference. I often walk into a place and people think that I either own the place or I'm the manager, but actually I'm like there to just buy something or something like that.
Yes.
And I think I get asked all the time, like, well, what do you do? And
Yes.
people think my job is so crazy creative or exciting just based on the way that I dress and the way that I carried myself. And I think that is super important. That's what people remember. People remember the first moment you walk into a room, not the last moment you walk into a room.
Yeah.
People sum you up before you've even opened your mouth. They've decided who you are and where you fit in to the world.
That's true.
It's important to always put your best foot forward, as you said earlier, and to let that inner glow shine from the moment people meet you.
That is true, because I mean, if people look at you and they sum you up, sometimes it's a bad thing, but a lot of times it's a good thing. They will engage with you in a certain manner, and with that manner they can ask you, what do you do, what is your passion, what drives you, and then you can actually start sharing your story.
Yes.
Instead of, if you walk in just looking plain, people aren't even going to notice you necessarily or want to hear what you have to say. So that is a great thing.
Yes, I think I also developed that a little bit more. Towards the middle of last year, I wanted to take my blog to the next level. And I thought, okay, what is the next step? How do I turn this into this? Okay.
Yes.
And my next progression was starting my own marketing agency. So I started a marketing agency that falls under Taken by Storm. It's called TBS Marketing. And I run online campaigns for beauty-based businesses. That's my focus, beauty and fashion-based businesses, because it's what I know.
Yes.
And it's what I know I'm good at. And I know that I can connect people within that space. So I offer that service to my clients. And what happened when I was first trying to get my first clients is I had to walk into a room and pitch myself to big brands and be like, I'm going to run your marketing. You don't need a massive marketing company. You just need me. I'm going to make videos. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Had no idea what I was doing when I first started, but I did it. And I put myself out there. And when I walked in and I did this whole speech about how amazing I'm going to make your business, they always stop me and they're like, so tell us a bit about yourself. How old are you? And at that time I was 23. And they were like, what? And instantly they didn't take me seriously when I told them my age, because I don't look my age, and they're shocked that I can offer them that at my age. But if I didn't create that lasting impression walking in the room, they would have stopped listening to me when they saw that I was 23. And they would have stopped listening to me when they made the assumption that I was young and I didn't know what I was doing and I was immature and I had no idea where to even go. But I'd already sold them before they knew how old I was. And that's what making a lasting impression is about. It's about making sure that they don't forget you.
And now you basically creating a job as a beauty editor for other brands, and if you end up in Vogue one day, awesome. But you actually
Vogue, I hope you're watching.
But you actually already started that journey of becoming your dream job one day, which is great. It's
baby steps. I'm not going to sit here and say that I have the most wonderful job in the world and it's so great and I love my job and I love everything I do on a daily basis, because it's hard. It really is hard. You have to justify yourself to clients all day, every day. The hours I put in. At the end of last year, I probably went to bed after 12 every single night, trying to wrap up stuff for clients, trying to mark papers, trying to fit in makeup jobs because that's money in my pocket, trying to save up money to buy new products for my kids. It's not easy. And I have life expenses as well, and try and keep up a social life, a relationship, all of those things. So it isn't easy, and it's not always a perfect world and a perfect dream job. It takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of hard work.
So while we're talking about the hard work that actually goes into this, and I mean, at the end of it, we can sit here speaking about all the wonderful things that we do as a job, etc. But I think the one thing people don't get is how we actually get by. You think you can't reach for that dream because of money. So Storm, how are you actually living at this stage? I mean, from your social media, I'm not gonna lie, you look like you have a pretty good life. I mean, your house is gorgeous. And what you do is very awesome. I know some of the people that you know is like incredible. So tell us a bit more. What's the realness behind this? Are you working really hard to make sure you maintain this lifestyle? Tell us, like, how do you do it?
So the reality is that I am 24 and I'm financially independent. I don't rely on my parents for financial aid. I don't rely on another source of income, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And it is a lot of hard work, and it's putting yourself out there. Lecturing obviously pays me, and that helps me pay my bills.
Yes.
Freelance makeup jobs help me pay my bills. My marketing business, I have retainers that come in, so those clients pay me every month. And then also I au pair.
Really?
Yep. So I au pair, and that also brings in a salary.
That
helps me. And my whole thing of au pairing, I started au pairing because I simply wanted to be able to pump money back into my business and not have all the money I had for my business being pumped into all the money I had for my business. I didn't want that to be pumped into my personal life where I couldn't grow my business.
Then you can't grow,
so all the au pairing money I used to support myself, and all the business money I put back into the business. So it's now got to the point where I don't need to work as hard as I did in the beginning. Now it's just about working so that I can hire somebody and I can hand over some of the responsibility to, and I can take on new and different and exciting jobs, because I'm at that point in my life right now where I'm like, okay, now what? I'm like, I've got here, I've established myself. At 24 I'm here, I want to be there. What next? What is the next big thing for me? And that's what I'm toying with, and I think so many people have that feeling in their life, but they aren't bold enough to say it. They aren't strong enough to say it. At the beginning of this year, my whole life shattered. I went through a massive breakup, and it completely disintegrated my world. I was like, now what? I had this perfect life, and now what?
Yes.
And the reality is, it was never about the other person that I was with. It was about the faith and the trust and the hope that I put into that situation.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I was that situation. You are the only thing that can bring you out of that negative space and that bad space and that feeling of self-doubt. You've got to forget about it, and you've got to keep pushing on. It's
and
the only way
you
to do
pushed
it.
on.
I did. All I had was my business, and I was like, no matter how terrible somebody thinks I am, this business is still here. And it's still mine, and it's still standing, all because of me, not because of anybody else. And that has been my saving grace. So make your passion, my biggest thing that I want to say throughout this whole process is make your passion your job, first of all. Love what you do every single day. And make sure that that passion will get you through every single bad situation, because you know that passion is because of what you've put into it. You know that you've built something based on how you feel about it, and it will always be your saving grace.
And it's a passion, and a passion is something that you cannot stop. You need to do that. So make your passion your business and your life, and you will continue with it, because you don't have another choice. That's what's in you. That is you.
I think the biggest issue is that people don't follow their passions because of money.
Yes, no, that is one of
That's the main thing. That's the main reason why we not all, I don't know, if my brother could surf all day, he would, but he needs an education and he needs to earn money. So we often don't do our passion because we need to earn money. Find a way to earn money and do your passion.
Yes.
That's the difference.
And the other thing is, if you have a passion and you follow your passion, you will make money.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to do it really, really well.
And you won't stop.
Exactly, and you won't stop, and nothing can bring you down, and you'll just continue.
If in doubt, put your own name in your business's name, because then you're letting yourself down and you're bringing your own name down. It helps. It helps.
That is
I'm like,
true.
storm can't fall. My name is in there. It has to be me. It is part of me.
Yes.
It helps.
Very true.
Motivate you.
Okay, this was fantastic chatting to you. Thank you so much for telling us a bit more about your story.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me
Oh,
in studio.
no, you're welcome. So, while we say goodbye to everyone, tell us, Storm, how do you create a lasting impression?
My answer's simple. Wear the damn red lipstick. Get your legs out. If you are feeling insecure about yourself, play to your securities. So if you are feeling like, oh, I'm having a fat day, or I'm having a bad hair day, or I'm not feeling great about myself, get up, get dressed, and make it happen. Fake it till you make it is the only way that you will get through it. And that is the way that you make a lasting impression. People always say to me, you're so driven, you've so got it together. The biggest points in my life when they say that to me is when I don't have it together. So you have to fake it till you make it, because within that space, you then get to the next space, and that next space is a really positive space.
That's so true. Well, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honoured to have been part of this.
Well, I look forward to seeing what we can do together with Taken by Storm in the future.
I'm excited.
Yes. So from us at Glowwork and Girl Talk, bye. Hope you learned something. Wear that red lipstick and follow your passion.
Yep.